I think it's a good time of year to look at maybe getting some gifts for your MTG friends. I've received some cool stuff from Jake before. He got me this really cool version of Smothering Tithe one time, and most recently he did an altar of Darksteel plate and made it Darksteel cake for my birthday. It's a pretty cool card, and I'll always have a story to tell when I play it, and that's what I like about giving MTG cards as gifts to my MTG friends, because they'll always be able to say, hey look, I got this as a gift from so and so. All of these variants, maybe your commander friends play some of these cards already, and you can hook them up with a sweet version of a card that they love for not that much cash. If you end up buying any of these cards online, use our TCG player link that is in the description and pinned in the top comment. Other than that, give me a second to thank our Patreon, and we'll be right back with the list.
Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat. So we are going to be going over top Magic the Gathering variants at $2 or less, meaning these are not the base copy of the card. This is a slightly snazzier version. It's really funny that I'm looking at a Murderous Rider right now, because I remember overpaying for these back during the premiere of Showcase cards in Throne of Eldraine. And now we have seen years later, well, that's just par for the course. So this card is at $2. Oh man, dude, that's insane.
Every card on this list is $2 or less. These are fantastic pickups for you. These are great, gonna make great gifts for your friends. If there's a card you see on this list that they're constantly playing, which you should, these are all very, very playable commander cards. You can get it for your friends. Say, hey, Merry Holiday, Merry Crimbus, here is a Murderous Rider. It's not what I think of you, but I want you to think of me when you play this card. It's a removal then a creature with 2 relevant creature types. Try it out. Jake, one of my favorite parts of using Gem Razor is suddenly giving a creature trample out of nowhere while also acing one of their artifacts or enchantments.
I like that a Mutate card got included on this list.
Well, we said that they are, affordable, not easy to understand. And so it's not, that wasn't a qualification for picking any of these cards. They need to look cool and they need to be playable. And I feel like those two lines cross beautifully with Gem Razor.
Gem Razor looks so cool. I love this comic book style art that came out of this set. These are some of my favorite variants.
Yeah, they really do look dope. Here's another one. Nethroi, Apex of Death. Got 2 mutate cards on the list. This one mutates in for 7. 2 black and either a green and white, and then 4. But if it mutates onto something, it's going to give that something Death Touch and Lifelink, and it's going to return 10 power of creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. Wow.
It's a pretty fun commander if you want to try building it in as your general. I like this, dude. This card is, man, it's got that nightmare art as well. I like that the way that this is sorted is you are going to see showcase cards on here, but for anybody who might be like, wait a minute, these are, full art cards or whatever, they're both included on this list.
Yeah, what is an official showcase card to MTG might surprise you. We'll make that the video title and clickbait it. Jake, this creature is constantly demonic tutoring for cards. It does go on top, and you do have to attack, but nobody wants to block the little nasty here because the nasty is nasty. And if you get touched by it, you're not going to have a good time.
This art is so good. I love the art on this. And this was one of the most hyped cards from this set. Oh, yeah. When it first came out. And so now this card has come to a much more affordable price. Everything on this list, low risk, around the $2 range.
Yeah, absolutely. Super low risk. That's a really good point. Jake, I don't think the audience is going to believe it, but there's a scroll card on this list. But look, the scroll cards that are sagas, chat, tell me if you agree or disagree. This actually looks pretty dope because there's not a weird giant black space missing everything on the left. It's only on the right here, and it kind of feels balanced and looks cool.
Oh, I see. You like this one because it's a saga.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The sagas in the scroll treatment from Lord of the Rings I think look pretty cool. And this one, I mean, 5 mana makes a creature unblockable for all these turns that this stays. I mean, makes a creature unable to block, excuse me, for all the turns that this is on the field. Go get a mountain card. It doesn't say a basic mountain, so you can get whatever.
Yep.
And then you create a 6/6 dragon with flying and haste that sounds like Benedict Cumberbatch. So when it dies, getting 14 treasure tokens is just gravy on the fact that you've got an A-list celebrity in your commander deck now.
If you get the 14 treasure tokens, simply having something like Revel in Riches is going to be enough to win the game.
Ridiculous.
So pretty
Can
sweet.
be really ridiculous. And these sagas, these are going to be some of the only scroll ones that I ever suggest. Jake, I feel like I always see this card drawing people a ton of cards. Every time people play it, I go, okay, whatever. But then I'm like, wow, they are just really drawing a lot of cards over there.
This card is very strong.
Looking at it,
The only thing that holds it back, in my opinion, is that it's 4 mana, but it's very good once you get it online. It's very good.
oh yeah. Yeah, it's a casual card. It's not a competitive card, but
Right.
you know, it really can keep you
making
way
sure.
ahead.
Did you get my picks in here, by the way?
Yes, I did. Absolutely did.
Oh, okay, cool.
I myself have been very on the record saying I like these Ikoria coin treatments. They're not for everybody, but when you get this treatment on a green creature that can just have mana pumped into it to destroy artifacts, enchantments, exile someone's graveyard. Sorry, Marin player. Sorry, Dahada Joel. And then nobody's ever used the third mode on this ever in the existence of time. But little ETB Dino doing some work. Coin treatment, $2 or less. Not bad.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool little card here. I like modal cards, things that are where you get to pick between different things. I'm a fan. And I actually really like these treatments. I know that some people aren't a big fan of them, but they're pretty cool. Next up, we have Sithis Harvest Hand, 1 green, 1 white for a 1/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and draw a card. If you're playing enchantments, a lot of them, you probably want this in your deck.
This is one of the most annoying commanders for that archetype, but it's good in the command zone. It's good in the 99. It's good. It's good. It's good. I am also thinking that some people are surprised, especially after seeing our tier list the other week, that we have a sketch card on here. This isn't the only sketch card on here, but I think that this one looks a little different. I like that the art is a little bit more fleshed out, and the sketch treatment, you know, it sort of gives an older timeier look. It doesn't read, this one for me doesn't necessarily read unfinished like some of the others do. It just kind of reads different and dreamy, you know, almost colored pencil.
Yeah, I think this is pretty cool. It actually gives me like a watercolor vibe.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Cute.
Seraph, the Viper's Fang. I mean, you want to get death touched down by a creature that definitely looks like it has to do with death touch?
Dude, this is a good one, man. This is the Equinox frame. So
no one knew the name of that, but I'm glad that we know now.
We know it now. It's the Equinox frame.
Yeah. This one,
dude, hexproof is so strong, dude. Wizards of the Coast actually, like, they hate hexproof.
Well,
very rarely see it these days.
Like Seraph can stay untapped and have this ability to untap another target creature and basically give it hexproof at instant speed if it's tapped to make it untap. And then your attacking line having death touch, like, nobody's gonna block. Nobody wants their stuff to die instantly to all your tiny little blockers.
Yeah,
Go
there's
wide.
just so much going on with this card, dude.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite cards from last year, and at this point, it's special treatment. I'm just like the little growth, the leaves and the vines and all this stuff on the side. It just looks so death touchy to me. I don't know any other way to explain it.
Oh, there's SRAM.
Special shout out, Jake, with the SRAM Senior Edificer. Masterpiece frame version of SRAM. I would say most people are probably playing this in their aura or equipment decks. I mean, if you got a vehicle deck, nice. Let me see it.
What is this outfit that SRAM is wearing here?
It's just him as a statue. I'm more impressed by his like bronzed He's got some sort of
Motorcycle
harpoon
kind of
gun, and he's on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
With his goggles
pretty sweet.
up. I don't know. His whole look is really sick here. But I was
got an aura, an equipment, a vehicle going on. Look at this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I really like that they revisited this frame. I hope that it's not driven into the ground by the time we go back, but I hope we get more creatures like this. I like
it's
this
a really
frame.
cool dude, it's a really cool frame, and the originals will always hold their premium, in my opinion. You know, the ones that have a premium, heavy air quotes on premium these days. But there are a few that are still very expensive. But yeah, if we ever go to like a Kaladesh like showcase frame, yeah, there's going to be tons of them that are just going to be bulk. And we see now with SRAM, you know, at the $2 range, it's such a cool card, and it's a fun commander, and it's a card that's great in the 99 of a lot of decks, which is why we see it in so many commander decks. So yeah, if you want the pimp version, it's very cheap. And this card is really good as well. Brilliant Restoration for 4 white and 3 other. We have this big splashy sorcery. Return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pretty big effect.
Yeah, big swingy effect here. It's played for the same reason that people play Breach the Multiverse, people play Rise of the Dreadmarn, or not Rise of the Dreadmarn, Rise of the Dead Realms. You know, just that can be your big swing. We're gonna just Hail Mary here. Everything all at once, pass to you. If I untap, I probably win. If my graveyard was full enough. And what was this treatment called, Jake? Do you remember the name of this treatment off the top of your head?
This is the Soft Glow treatment.
Glow, that's right. It's got that architectural influence at the top, sort of hearkening to that culture, and got the soft glow throughout to make it a little techno, but it's not overwhelmingly techno in these treatments.
It's like a neon kind of retro thing. I was actually really surprised that this card was on the list.
Dude, under $2. I think it's because it got banned in Standard. Nobody wants a copy anymore.
It's still good in Commander. I like it in Commander.
I like it too. 2 mana activation. You tap it, remove a charge counter from it, and draw. And then if you don't have any charge counters on it anymore, create a treasure token and a pilot. It said it can pilot this vehicle. You know, it's just some card draw. It's a crazy looking version of a nice little colorless card draw engine.
I remember buying these in foil, and I bought like 3 or 4 of them at around like $2 a piece. So if the non-foil is $2, I imagine the foils have gone up a little bit. But since it did get banned, I wouldn't be surprised if the price on this, you know, stays nice and low. It's a card that is busted in like a Standard environment, which is why it got banned. There's just like everybody wants it, right?
Why not?
Doesn't matter what deck you're in. You know, it's got the Smuggler's Copter vibe, right? Where Smuggler's Copter, when it came out in Standard, every deck ran it. Even if you were in freaking like white-blue control, you were probably running Smuggler's Copter because it was just helping you loot, and any of your little dorky creatures could crew it. And even though the crew on this is too higher on the Bankbuster, it does kind of the same thing. When there's no color identity to go with a really good artifact, it ends up getting the ban. I'm actually really surprised that Smuggler's Copter got unbanned, but we won't bring that into this video, but still.
Sweet treatment, colorless draw engine that's also a vehicle. Jake, this one came out this year.
Great card.
Under $2. The treatment, some of these versions just look really sick, and this is one. The art looks like what it does. Extra points if you're in a deck that's putting +1/+1 counters on stuff. Any kind of counters, really. You're in a Super Frenzy kind of deck. This is just like this 2 mana. It's a 2 mana 3/2 that then has upside, which is wild to me. I love this version of this card, and this has become a super highly playable card very, very quickly.
What's really nice about a card like this is, you know, you get it back in those decks. It's like super cheap in like a Carador or like a Muldrotha, right? It's like very easy to get it back. And then that ability, you get that suite of abilities that are on this thing that you can sacrifice. And so that's really, really nice. It's not like an ETB or something. You know, I mean, even if it were an ETB, it would still be fine. But yeah, it's pretty sweet, dude. Very fun card.
recurring it over and over again. You're
yeah,
speaking
just
my
recur
language,
it over
baby.
and over, and it's super cheap, and you get 3 effects on it. Yeah, I included this because this was a card that was just so freaking.
Y'all remember the
hyped.
hype on this one?
There was so much hype around this card, and now you can get it if you want to build a very specific, weird kind of zany commander. Here it is for $2. Go to town, do some weird shenanigans with Lord Xander the Collector.
Chat, if you're here with us live, has anybody ever played with or against Lord Xander? I really want to get some like takes of Lord Xander. I never found it really good. It was just kind of like discard some stuff if it ETBs. It ain't getting played more than like once, and it attacking is probably gonna be rare but doable, maybe. The dice trigger's more interesting to me, but it can only target one opponent, so it's like whoever kills Lord Xander gets aced by that thing. It's just I don't know.
It's very big and very splashy effects.
Yeah.
I would like to see someone pull it off. You know, it's on the list because it's something where it's like, here's this thing that was expensive that is not even nearly that price anymore. So if you want to try it out, this is something to consider. And it looks pretty cool. Yeah,
pay attention to those mythics that are over 30 that you're like, yeah, there's no way this will drop. This one's under 2 now. This is the special version of it.
Vampire Demon Noble.
I love the showcase treatment on this. I said it when we did the tier list, and I'll say it again. This gilded treatment. I can't wait to go back to New Capenna. Maybe spend some more time here. Here's another New Capenna card, Jake. We've talked about this one before, but I thought it was worth mentioning. If you're in Esper, instant speed can't be countered, destroy a permanent. The only thing that can make this card better in its form right here is if it's at exile instead of destroy. But, I mean, instant speed can't be countered. The thing is dying. Just doesn't get around indestructible. Under $2, rare removal spell if you're in Esper or greater. You know, I think it's
non-land permanent. Very good.
Super worth a pickup here. I'm loving this. Loving the art. Love the treatment. Really good ones here. We didn't have a lot of Mystical Archive on here, but you got to go look at the Mystical Archive, y'all. There are cards that are very affordable and are widely playable. They chose some of the most played instants and sorceries across like all formats for the Mystical Archive. Probably have a video next year sometime just revisiting the entire group of cards and seeing where they're at now. But we chose not a meme card like we could have chosen with the Destroy All Non-Dragons card. We chose D-Spark, instant speed, exile. I've started playing this card in every deck where it's in the colors. Jake, are you still playing this a lot?
Really quick, the Void Ren gets through Ward, which is worth mentioning. I like D-Spark a lot. I really like D-Spark. Exile target permanent with mana value 4 or greater is very good. A lot of the biggest, splashiest stuff, this card is just like, well, exile it. Get it out of here. I like it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, to your point, Jake, you were talking about Void Ren. Spell can't be countered. Ward is a counter that counters the spell unless something happens. So if it says it can't be countered, Void Ren does not care about Ward. That is a really good point.
Yeah, it's a really fun and good point there.
But yeah, back-to-back removal spells, D-Spark.
Removal is good.
Dude.
I like having reactive spells. They're very important. They get you out of a bind.
And let's exile it. Let's just get it out of here and not worry about it anymore. Welcoming Vampire is a little more my speed. A white and 2 for a 2/3 says whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Happens only once a turn. Yo, there are so many token creators. Right. This is completely fine with me. It doesn't say non-token on it, so anything that's just residually creating a token, if you've got Bitter Blossom on the battlefield, welcoming Vampire on the battlefield, Bitter Blossom creates the token, you lose a life, you draw a card, you draw your card for turn, you know? It's like
it's essentially a Howling Mine just for you.
Right. Because you're only building this into decks where you're going to be filling up the board with creatures power 2 or less. So anytime you can draw extra cards, especially in decks like this where you're going to want to continuously apply battlefield pressure, you need to keep your hand full. And I really do like this treatment. I know I reviewed it pretty harshly, but
Fang.
Yep, Fang treatment does look cool, especially on this card. So I like Welcoming Vampire a lot, y'all, and under $2 is a really great place to pick this up. Big thanks to our sponsor, Card Conduit. Card Conduit is simply the easiest way to sell a bunch of your Magic cards all at once. You got some stacks of cards that are like all $1 or more just sitting around gathering dust. Turn those into more cards. Send them to Card Conduit. They'll grade them, they'll buy list them, and they'll send you a check. That's it. They take a little cut, but if you use our JAJAM code in the description below, you'll get even more off. Hit up Card Conduit if you want to turn some of your cards that are just in piles into piles of cash. And then we're into our Enchanting Tales. And wow, Enchanting Tales is another one where it's just like stacked. It is like Mystical Archive in that it is stacked with beautiful looking versions of highly playable cards. We picked out a few for y'all.
Yeah, there's like ley lines on this list. This is a list because so much Wilds of Eldraine is getting opened and has been opened that tons of these cards are extremely inexpensive right now. And it's like very good cards. So Leyline of Anticipation is on this list. 2 blue, 2 other. Get a big old enchant. You may cast spells as though they had flash. And like all ley lines, you get it early. Polluted Bonds, 2 black, 3 other for another enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That's pretty sweet, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Commander?
You're going to want to be stacking effects like this, but this has a home in a deck stacked with effects. I was just talking about at the beginning of the stream, my Liesa deck. It's all a bunch of if they cast a spell, they lose a life. If they play a creature, I gain a life. They lose a life. Bunch of stuff like that. Anytime now we're going to tax their lands entering, get them down low enough, suddenly they're like, I probably just shouldn't play a land this turn. That's just a 4 life swing in their direction.
Yep. I love that on the bottom of this card, they went with like kind of like a dark purple instead of like black.
Yeah.
On the bottom of these. You know, I think that was a nice touch.
Dude, design across the board. It has a really nice aesthetic. Look at this. Design across the board for these is just fantastic. You've got the spikies. Sanguine Bond, classic enchantment, y'all. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. The art is dope. Harry Conway knocked this out of the park. The frame is dope. We've talked about that. The color choices, everything works so well together. They're beautiful. And so, I mean, we're just highlighting some of our favorite ones, but the whole group is stacked. Jake, this Waste Not.
I mean, Waste Not is such a great card, too. Huge. This is like an engine, man. This card is freaking nuts. Now, it has its own constructed decks, but it's also good in Commander, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you've got the right Commander, you got the right deck built into it, you're absolutely getting value off of this.
Like, if you're playing like a Croxa or something like that, you probably want this.
Yeah, love how we're splashing this giant green there. The eyeballs are such high contrast. Pop out wonderfully. The card is dope. I really like this version of Impact Trimmers. You've got 2 main versions of Impact Trimmers, the main one, and then kind of a very limited offshoot one. But this is the 3rd version. And I mean, this enchantment will win you a game, and it's at uncommon. So it's like the super most affordable that it can possibly be. This is one of the ones we were talking about. It's probably under a quarter. Like all of these on this list are $2 or less, but this one is super cheap. You know what that means when we're talking about these $2 variants? Go look at foils. Go see if you can find some like even more premium version, pay an extra $1. You know what I'm saying? Impact Trimmers is going to win you games. I'm sure that y'all have a friend who plays Prosh or plays Perforos or plays any commander where Impact Trimmers is going to be a win con, right?
Oh yeah, dude. This card is just busted. Just passive value, dude. So strong.
A creature, doesn't even say non-token.
And same thing with this card. This card used to be super scarce, but if you're playing a deck that has all creatures of the same creature type, you should probably be running this.
If you've got red in that, you absolutely should.
You should be running this. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it.
Shared
animosity. This card used to be so expensive, dude. Yeah. And now look at it. It's literally under $1.
Well, it's so desirable. A special version of it is under $1. And look, I'm telling you, the creature type decks, those aren't going anywhere. These kind of cards are going to always be, they're always going to have a home in some commander deck. And so getting these foils, especially super, super cheap, is definitely worth it. I've seen more people playing this recently, and I'm so happy about it because When it enters the battlefield, if you already have the creature on the battlefield, that's the best time to play this, is wait until you have the creature. Typically with enchantments like this, you want to wait, you want to play it first and then develop your battlefield. But this one plays so well because in a deck like this, you want to be applying pressure. You can't take a turn off to play a mana rock and an enchantment pass. We need to surprise you. I have a 10/10 with no trample. Now I play Garruk's Uprising, draw a card immediately, it suddenly gains trample, and then I also get future value off of playing more creatures that I hopefully draw. Love this enchantment. You got to pick this one up, especially this version. I mean, come on, it's got him as the Hunt Master in there. He's ready to eat you alive. Yeah, this card
looks great.
Got this art of Garruk there looking like he's still in his villain arc. And Jake, I completely missed this card when I was going through.
Oh yeah, Hardened Scales. It's just very good. If you're in counter deck, you want it. It's a constructed card, and it's also a commander card.
It's crazy. The look of this one is just insane. It almost looks like nothing, but then this snake sort of appears in the view. It's almost like it's camouflaged in its own art, which is just a nuts effect. This almost looks like a little comic book snake too. I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, y'all,
it's pretty sweet.
There are a lot of variants that have just absolutely tanked in price because of the amount of reprints we've received over the last 2 years. Not great for collectors, but very great for players. Customize your deck. Pick up some of these for your friend. Cheap gift. Hey, happy holidays. Love ya. You're always kicking my ass with Hardened Scales. Here's a cool version I got you. Jake, here's a cool version of SRAM, serialized, 500 of 500.
If you know, so, oh man, right? Oh, that'd be sweet. Yeah, this is a great card. I really love knowing that. I mean, if you get somebody a full play set of Hardened Scales, they'll just be like, wow. So if they're like me, they're gonna remember that card being expensive. Magic variants. It's never been more customizable, ever. And it's only gonna get more customizable.
Only more, only more.